Hello everybody, welcome back to Theje's Notebook Review. I'm Joel Michael, and what I have for you today is from Eluktronics. This is the Mech 15 G2R. It has last year's Intel Core i7-8750H CPU that uses 6 cores, 12 threads with 9 megs of L3 cache, the Nvidia RTX 2060 GPU with 6 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM, 16 gigs of DDR4 memory, and this particular notebook shipped with 2 256 gig NVMe SSDs. All of these bits sit underneath a 15.6-inch 1080p 144Hz IPS display and are powered by a 4-cell 62 watt-hour battery. This model is available with this larger battery or a smaller 3-cell 46 watt-hour battery and a 2.5-inch drive bay. The Mech series of laptops are available from Eluktronics' website and can be ordered from bare bones to fully equipped. You can get away with a reasonably equipped model for about $1,300 with a GTX 1660 Ti. The configuration featured in this review costs about $1,600. Let's see what all those holes in the side do. On the right, you get 2 USB 3.0 ports and a skin moisture removal apparatus. On the back, we're treated to 2 more vents, double mini display ports, HDMI, USB Type-C, and where the plug goes. On the left is the lock slot, skin moisture removal for the children of the devil, gigabit LAN, USB 2.0 for 3 standard USBs, and mic and headphones in. Only 3 standard USBs sucks for people with more than 2 friends, but it's not hard to hub it up anyway. Sure, you can't use an external GPU with only USB-C, but with at least an RTX baked in, you won't have to worry about that for quite a while. Most of the body is wrapped in shiny streaked aluminum that is 97.75% smooth to the touch, save for the bottom cover. The entire chassis is incredibly rigid, including the display, and the keyboard doesn't have printed labels, so you won't have to worry about those fading, but the finish on the touchpad is already irreparably stained after just a few months of use. The rest of the aluminum takes a while to look dirty and can be cleaned off easily. The one pet peeve I have with this body is that the edges are very sharp, especially the 90-degree angles. If you're typing on your lap, you'll be running your palms across them often, and it's very uncomfortable. On a lighter note, it's pretty light, as in less hefty than the Dell G3. Not that the Dell G3 is one of the less robust gaming notebooks around, it's still an achievement for Eluktronics. Undressing the Mech 15 reveals that not a lot of scandal is going on under the hood. Once again, there is a smaller battery available that can be used in tandem with a 2.5-inch drive. There are 2 PCI slots for NVMe drives, 2 memory slots underneath static shields, plenty of copper to keep things cool, and the Intel 9560 wireless AC solution. Everything, including the battery, is held down by Phillips screws, so you don't have to be too terribly adventurous to feel like repairing components or replacing the battery. The keyboard is one of the most touted features of the notebook. Why, it's mechanical, and the keys can be their own individual color. That's all good and wonderful, but it's not miles ahead of good quality chiclet keyboards. The keyboard does miss a few strokes, and it can take an unpredictable amount of force to push down a key. I can type faster and more accurately on the Dell G3's chiclet keyboard, but this keyboard does feel better. It doesn't have a double-wide 0 key, but that means the arrow keys are full-sized and the numpad keys are also not narrowed. Having it all smushed together doesn't betray my personal preference, and if you get confused easily between your number and function keys, make them a different color. Problem solved. The proprietary software to change around the backlight is much faster than my desktop keyboard, and the noise level can be quiet for light typists like myself, but can scale up to a mild annoyance for abusers of PC peripherals. There are also 4 different brightness levels that adapt well from pitch darkness to well-lit environs. In other news, the hotkeys cannot be swapped for the function keys. Oh well. The touchpad sucks more than usual. Not only does it not have physical keys, it's quite sensitive and desperate for attention. I guess Eluktronics has to let Sega beat it at some games. It doesn't use Windows Precision drivers, but there are 3 ways to disable it: double tapping the top left corner, a hotkey, or plugging in a mouse. The greatest notebook monitor I've ever used was on the HP ZBook Studio G3 until now. This 144Hz panel has a super impressive spec sheet, but I can't remember what the numbers are and I'm too lazy to look them up. I can say for sure that 144Hz is a super nice touch even for regular programs that aren't AAA games. The color balance is almost slightly warm, we're talking 2 degrees of red, so there is reason for calibration. That being said, the contrast ratio is stellar, with deep blacks and a very fine gradient scale. Being an IPS screen, the colors never change at an angle, and the brightness stays true no matter how you look at it. It'll also tilt back just far enough for your lap. Thanks to the super color accuracy, it's easy to say this screen is definitely Photoshop ready. A pet peeve though is that you can't toggle between 144 and 60 Hz for regular Windows use in order to conserve battery life. We'll talk about battery life here in a bit. Let me speak about speakers. These noise blasters can get loud-ish. The sound is, as always, skewed towards the treble range, but the audio drivers aren't the try-hard kind that mush up the EQ band. As a result, bass tones get dropped and the final audio product comes out clean. The bass in Rage Against the Machine's Calm Like a Bomb is very weak, and the deep bass in A Perfect Circle's The Package, yeah, it ain't there at all, but the heavy guitar parts do pop. These aren't the most quiet speakers I've heard, but they're not crisp like Lenovo's wide-reaching notebooks either. Overall, media is still enjoyable to digest, and you won't have to use headphones unless you really want to hear that sick bass line. System performance isn't something you need to be concerned with here. If you're not happy with one of the highest performing notebook processors out there on the market today, you're not going to be happy with a notebook, period. What does impress me about this notebook though is how flexible it can be with battery life, if you take proper advantage of the built-in proprietary software. It can limit the max frequency of the Core i7 to a mere 1.6 GHz, making even your emulators chug on command. Have no fear though, your precious YouTube or Twitch streams will still run at full frame rate. In fact, with this notebook in power saving mode, I was able to squeeze 3 hours and 45 minutes out of the battery with a mix of writing, research, and videos. Of course, it's not all rainbows and butterflies when you're trying to browse the web with a CPU that just took a bat to the knees. On to gaming. It's a beautiful thing, man. Not only do games run smoothly, they look great on this monitor. Frame rates are still a bit south of a desktop packing a 5-year-old CPU and GTX 1070 as demonstrated in this video in the top right corner, but price performance wise, it's hard to recommend anything more powerful than this for notebooks. Especially since some RTX 2070 Max Q notebooks don't crank out enough FPS to justify the price hike. Hammering out 144Hz will take some sacrifices if it's even possible for modern games at all, but you're still sitting pretty with the higher color accuracy and less ghosting anyway. Gaming on battery alone will cut most of the power to the GPU and you'll still only get about an hour's worth. In other news, the fans get really loud on this laptop and can be toggled to always on at will with the built-in software. Even with that in place, your lap will still be cooked, and the rear vents are simply dangerous to touch during a gaming session. For the bottom line, the Eluktronics Mech 15 G2R is a damn fine package that strives to be a top competitor. The strong CPU and GPU in combination with an awesome display and strong chassis is sure to at least impress any PC gamer. If you're looking for a pure gaming laptop with few compromises, there's nothing that should turn you away, save for the price. The thing that kinda sucks here is that you have to choose between a decent battery life and cheap 2.5-inch storage options. In conclusion, students can't get a thumbs up to save their GPAs. The price is way too high and the battery life way too low. For the same price of this notebook, you can get one hell of an Ultrabook, which won't be able to distract you with pure gaming goodness. Casual gamers will shiver and develop an eye twitch once they see the price tag on this thing. If you absolutely crave the latest ray tracing tech, just hold out for a couple years when ray tracing will be effectively integrated into $800 gaming laptops. Competitive gamers should strongly consider this notebook. The one thing holding it back is the keyboard. It takes a lot of getting used to, and your speed will instantly drop coming from even a chiclet batch of keys, but fear not, your fingers can be taught. And yes, there are cheaper gaming notebooks with the same specs, but they ain't made of aluminum, nor do they have as many storage options. Desktop replacement seekers will find all they need here with 3 display outputs and 3 spaces for storage if you opt out of the bigger battery. All you need is, well, deep pockets. Home PC users, why are you even watching this video? Go home, you're drunk. But I suppose if you're researching this notebook for little Johnny and you need some questions answered, yes, this is what he wants, and yes, it'll run Minecraft, Fortnite, and PUBG till the cows come home, and no, you still shouldn't let Uncle Gavin borrow it because even though he swears he won't use it to feed his brony habit, you know he will. Don't be stupid. This has been a review of the Eluktronics Mech 15 G2R here on Theje's Notebook Review. If you like the review, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more reviews, subscribe to the channel. If you want to know more about me, Joel Michael, visit and like my Facebook page, linked in the description below. Thanks for watching, and you guys, have a good night.